Hello, everyone, and welcome to a brand new episode of the Rise with Love podcast. I'm really excited to introduce you to my guest today and really dive into releasing yourself from all the blocks and all the burdens and all the limitations that you might have within yourself that is creating what you really don't desire in your life. So I would love to introduce you to Petia Kolibova. She is an alignment coach, and her mission is to help women who are on the path to healing from past wounds to move through their limiting beliefs and internal blocks so they can finally do what they want to do and what feels good to them while serving other women in a powerful way. So you can tell why this is going to be such a delicious conversation and really up our alley when it comes to embodying love. So Petia, so excited. Welcome.
So excited to be here, Melissa. Thank you so much for having me.
It's my absolute pleasure. I'm so excited because I love talking about alignment and really getting into the embodiment of our greatness and our full potential, which just sounds like this is what you help people to do. But before we kind of dive into this, how did you get here? Like, what led you to, being an alignment coach and doing this incredible work that you do now?
That's such an amazing question. And I love that you are like starting in the beginning, right? Like, how did you get where you are? Because it's so easy to look where we are today and really not seeing the path, like the how, right? So how did I become alignment coach was through a lot of misalignment. Trust me, there was so many missteps that I could label as mistakes and should not do and don't try it at home. But the truth is that anytime that we are experiencing this contrast, it's when we really learn about who we are and what we truly deeply desire in our lives. Because it's so easy to look at me today, like living in a beautiful tropical location and having six-figure online coaching business, hosting retreat, just got married to the love of my life. But all of that couldn't have happened if I would not get into my alignment, if I would not align with my purpose. And to get here, I had to really get clear on why did I came here and what is my truth, and not just live my life based on what everybody else is expecting from me or what I think I should or I could do, So it's something that we really all get to look at, like, is the life that I'm living really true to me? Is that what I truly desire?
And I think that's so important because with a lot of, entrepreneurs or people who are doing really well in life, we kind of look at them and go, wow, they have it all. But there's also, all the stuff that went before that, or, sometimes I've seen like the analogy of the iceberg where we're only seeing the tip and not what's happened in the bottom to kind of get to that. And I feel like, this is really important that you talk about how there was a lot of misalignment to get into alignment, which is usually what propels us. So kind of explain, if you can, because I know it's such a huge topic, how, what is alignment for you? Like, what do you define that?
That's a great question, like, how do we like really define alignment? Because alignment for me can be something different for you, right? But I feel like it's more of, instead of using the words, right? It's a feeling. When I'm aligned, everything feels like I'm in the flow. It's like when you let the river to take you and there is no worry, there is no doubt, there is this deep knowingness, knowing who you are, knowing why you came here, and knowing that you are here to also serve and help other people in one way or other, whether you are a stay-home mom or whether you're coach impacting other people or healer, right? So that's more of about the feeling that your life feels true to you, that you're excited to wake up every single morning. Because I remember there were times and days I didn't want to get up. I didn't want to be adulting. I didn't want to even go. And it was like just going through the motions. So now finding your alignment really has a lot to do with knowing who you truly are. And then your life and everything you're doing it aligns, it reflects of who you really are, your values, and what you stand for in your life. And when you're in that state that things feel good to you, that's when you can really attract and create the things in your life that feels good to you.
Yeah, it's kind of like, if you understand it all, the real magic of life all comes down to how we feel, because where this is an energy game that we are playing. So would you say that, to be in full alignment is to fully embrace your uniqueness, and your authenticity?
Absolutely. Absolutely. That's what I truly stand for, being unapologetically you, because one of the mantras that I kept repeating myself when I was going through my dark moments, and by those dark moments, I just look at my past when I was, mentally and physically abused by my stepfather, dealing with bulimia for 2 decades, being in toxic relationships, really hating my body and my life, and even attempting to suicide when I was 18 years old. So in those moments when I was going through that darkness and I didn't want to even be here, I started repeating to myself mantra, you're perfectly made for your purpose. Because when you realize that you are perfectly made for your purpose, and what I mean by that, it's the way you are, the way you look, the way you speak, the way you think, the way you experience the world is who you were made to be, to live your purpose. Because so often we're wearing the masks, we're trying to people please others. And of course, this is not me like casting a judgment. It's normal that we want to be loved and seen and heard, but not the way we're doing it. Yeah. We think that when we make everybody around us happy, then we will be happy. Well, it works the other way around, and we gotta like wrap our heads around it. When you're happy, people around you that matter will be happy for you, and not that you're trying to make everyone happy.
Yeah. And also it's like, when we are fully, embodying who we are, then of course we are allowing others to also be themselves, right? Yeah. It's like we give people permission. And I love that you talk about getting into that place of joy, because joy, along with love and gratitude, abundance, they're all the same vibration. It's like, this is where we truly create the life that we desire. So I'd love for you to talk about, like, you talk about freedom, right? And getting into that place. And so how do we define, like getting into that place within us where we feel free to fully just be ourselves without judgment or all of that stuff?
Such a deep question, and there are just like so many ways I could unpack this. But I feel like the most important thing, it's really understanding who you are and what are your core values. What do you stand for? Because when you know what you do stand for, then you look at your life and you can take an inventory, right? If, for example, for me, I stand for integrity, I stand for growth, I stand for generosity and loyalty. If you don't have those values, you're not going to be in my life.
Yeah.
And it's not because you're a bad person, but because we are standing for something else. So I will let you go to your way and I will go my way. But because I am standing in my truth, I'm expressing these values, I'm embodying these values. Those are the values that are coming back to me through my clients, through my friends, through my family. They're embodying the same values, or they support these values, even if it's not like their top value, they're embodying it. And that is the ultimate sense of freedom. This is who I am. This is what I stand for. You embody it. Now you start attracting evidence for those. So you start attracting people who are magnetized to you. Because let's say, for example, if I stand, and I will give you like complete crazy extremes, right? If I stand for animal cruelty and I just hate animals and I want to be just wearing all leathers and I like hurt puppies or whatever, right?
It's Cruella de Vil.
Right? there is a different energy than if I am vegan and I love animals and I am pro-life and I just want, to live in synergy with nature and I won't be hurting others. It's different, but I can guarantee you there are people for one and the other.
Mm-hmm.
But if I am here and I'm like, oh, I love animals and I love natures and I would never hurt anyone, and then I am beating my dog at home and I'm wearing all leather and I am, like killing cows, whatever. It's just like, again, I'm saying it's extreme. It's not like bashing anyone or the choices. But if I'm saying one thing, I'm doing another thing, even if people don't see me what I'm doing at home, there is going to be energy disruption. People can feel you. Like, I feel like people nowadays have such a BS detector. Like, they can sell, even like, they cannot like pinpoint it on it, but they're like, something is not right about that person. I don't know what it is. Like, they seem so nice, but deep inside, you're like, oh, this doesn't feel really good. So we can feel it. The energy, it's my first language and it speaks the loudest, really. So you get to embody your values. And that is the first step to freedom, because then you start attracting opportunities that align with those values, those clients or those people or those employers that align with those values. And your life starts to be, instead of struggle and pushing and hustling and working really hard, it starts to be ease and flow and enjoyment, and you will start live in joy, like we said, right? So it's so crucial to be you.
Yeah. And what if someone like, I don't know who I am, like my whole life I've been told that I should be like this and be like that, and they're like, well, I don't know what my values are, which can be really easy in the world because that's how we're conditioned. But I know you and I speak the same language. This isn't our truth. We're all we both kind of do similar work with women's empowerment, so I know we get this, but it's like, most people that are in the paradigm of the 3D consciousness, they are pretty much told who to be, or that they're failing in who they're being. So how do we kind of move past this? I know you have some like rituals or things that you do for freedom and abundance. Like, how does that get to activate those little soul remembrance part in us that kind of goes, oh no, this is who I am. This is my truth. These are my values.
It's a beautiful question. And I love it because, like you said, we are really conditioned. It's like everywhere you look at social media, look at TV. I don't have TV over 10 years. Okay. I don't even know what that is, but wherever you look, you're being conditioned. What your life should look like, your body look like, and then you get complete like sense of being lost, who I really am. So I will give you a couple things that help me, and then I give my clients to get really clear on who they are. And the first, it's very easy and simple exercise, but you just gotta do it. My mentor, when he gave it to me like 40 years ago, completely my life changed. I let go of my business, my toxic relationship, release my clients, everything started. You can never say starting from zero. We are never starting from zero, but I started again. And that's why I'm who I am. So the simple exercise is taking a piece of paper, dividing it in two. And on one hand, you write down the things you don't stand for, things you hate, things that you don't tolerate in your life. And on the other side, you write the opposite, and you write 20 things on each side. And then you take a highlighter and choose from the things you do stand for 3. So let's say, for example, I don't stand for hate. I stand for love. I don't stand for cheating. I stand for loyalty. And then you go back and forth with these, and then you choose 3. And I mentioned you some of my values: integrity, loyalty, growth, generosity. Those are my non-negotiable. So then you will just write it down on a piece of paper and put it on a wall in your bathroom, in your office, or in your bedroom, somewhere that you can really see it, because it's important for you to take the inventory of your life. It's not just about, oh, let me just write it down and then put it somewhere in a journal that you will never see, right? Like how many journals we have in the bottom of the drawer that we will never look through. That's why it's so important to write it somewhere and have it somewhere that you can see that. And then check in with yourself. Well, if I look at these values, do my relationship portray these values? Do my work, do my family, do my friends, is it aligned with my values? Do these represent these values? If not, you gotta let go or renegotiate this relationship. So that's the first exercise, to really know what do you do stand for and what are your values and how to shift from if you're not living in that. And the second one, to really know what do you want in your life. I always tell my clients to follow their curiosity. Write down all the things that you're curious about, and then look at them and ask yourself, what is the essence of it? What is the essence of it? For example, one of my clients, she's absolutely amazing, beautiful artist. And she was like, oh, I think I just want to be surfing and I want to live by the beach. And, I don't know what to do because I love my house and it's in the middle of the desert in, Arizona in States. She's like, I don't know what to do. So I told her, like, write down all the things that really light you up, that you're curious, and then write down the essence. Well, through this exercise, she finds out that she wants just the freedom. She wants to be on a fresh air and all these things she can do in Arizona. So it wasn't about surfing, because when she has her freedom, she can go surfing anytime she wants. It's like 2 hours by car to the beach, right? But it was not about the beach. It was not about the surfing. It was not about living and having a house on the beach. The essence of it was the freedom. Was it being in nature? Was it on a fresh air? So you check in with your essence and then ask yourself, what can I do now? Because sometimes you're in a job that pays your bills. And I always say that sometimes we're in a jobs that is like a sponsor of our dreams. We know we don't want to, right? Because people are like, oh, I hate my job. I'm like, well, good luck with that, because wherever you go, you take yourself with you. So if you hate your job, you will change jobs, you will change places, but you take yourself with you. So you will feel the same. You will create the same scenarios. But when you say like, oh, this is just a sponsor of my dreams, and right now it's paying my bills. Now it's allowing me to pay for my mentors and courses and travels. Yeah. And I love that, right? So if you look at it this way, it feels better. So really ask yourself, what is that I can do right now? Can I take a class? Can I buy a book? Can I listen to an amazing podcast like Melissa has, right? Like, what can I do? Because not always it has to take a lot of time or energy or money. Sometimes it's just the first step. And with that first step, it's like universe is giving you breadcrumbs, and it will give you, what is the next step? What are we doing next? So you got to learn to trust that. Does that answer the question, Melissa?
Yeah, I feel like, sometimes people will say though, oh, but I'm too busy to do that. I'm like, well, how are you ever going to shift your life? How are you truly ever going to discover who you are and what you're made of and your purpose and all of that if you keep doing all the same things, right? And I love that you use the analogy of your job as the sponsor to your dreams. I have a Gabby Bernstein way, and it's like it's just collecting the checks, right? It's just allowing you to just get on the next part of what you're doing. So I love that we kind of have that similar analogy. But I feel like when someone doesn't really know themselves, they give so much power to their limitations. And this is something that you dive deep into. So what are some like common limitations? I know there's probably like a gazillion, but what are some like common ones that you see women have that they can potentially free themselves from, even if they're listening today, start activating that part of them to get curious to find out more?
That's such a brilliant question, because like you said, there can be a million of limiting beliefs that we have. The most common limiting beliefs that I'm seeing in my clients and in women that I get to work with is, I'm not good enough. than the imposter syndrome. Like, who am I? Who am I to do this? Who am I to say this? What would people think? What if I fail? And it's like this fear of abandonment and judgment. So we get to learn how to write it, to really ask ourselves, is that mine? Is this really, really, really true that I'm unworthy and unlovable, and that when you ask yourself these questions, you will realize that most of the times it's not even yours. You heard it when you were a little girl, that your teacher told you something, your parents told you something, or your friends or your family, right? The people who you really trusted, that they should protect you, that they should support you. Suddenly they become the people who, I don't want to say break you, but kind of, right? So those are the most common limiting beliefs that I see. So first I tell my clients, ask yourself, is this mine? Is this really 100% fact, unshakable truth? Most of the times it's not. And if that's not true, what is my truth now? What am I choosing instead? We have to remember our brains are here not to make us feel abundant and enjoy and amazing. They're here to make us just survive, just to look for what's wrong, right? Like, what's wrong? Like, what's wrong with me? What's wrong with people? What's wrong with this job, right? But even if you have this first thought and you're feeling negative and it doesn't feel good, you can always choose the second thought. Okay, if this doesn't feel right to me, what is that does feel right to me? What feels true to me? Or what am I open to? Because, like there's so many, and we both know it, like there are millions of affirmations you can be telling yourself. And most of the times when we're at the beginning of the journey, we are like, well, that's BS. That's not true. I'm not worthy. I am not lovable. It's like this affirmation, I'm a millionaire. And your subconscious mind, it's like, no, you're not. You don't know how you will pay your bills this month, right? And so don't give yourself a strain, like put yourself for success. Set yourself up for win. I'm open to see myself as worthy. I'm willing to see the possibility that I can feel worthy. Because if you say I'm worthy and your subconscious mind is like, oh, that's a BS, girl. Who do you think you are, right? And there you go in a downward spiral. But if you say like, okay, show me how can I feel worthy? And it's like this talk with like, whether it's universe, whether it's God, show me how this can get even better. Show me how can I feel love? Show me how can I feel compassion? Like, show me. It's like putting it out instead of being so hard on ourselves and trying to figure it out all by ourselves. Hey, show me. I'm open. I'm willing. I'm here.
Exactly, right? It's that staying curious and also allowing ourselves to really be in a co-creation and partnership with the universe, God, whoever it is that we identify with, so that we can not be feeling so helpless. I feel like that's also part of the worthiness piece, because it is. And I truly believe you are divinely worthy because you breathe. Like there is nothing that gets to take that away from you, right? You don't need someone's approval or a justification. Like you are worthy because you are here and alive. And so a lot of us do go through this not being good enough. Oh my gosh, what are people going to think and what have you? And it stops us. It keeps us playing small, and no one wins when we play small. We're here for expansion. So I love that you bring this all back to this real curiosity and really asking the question, which is an empowering question. Show me, I'm willing, I'm here, I'm ready. Like this is such a key component to shifting your reality, because we are multidimensional beings. There's many possibilities that can show up right now, and we're kind of choosing to give power to our limitations, right? So in order to break that, I really love how you get us to be in the state of curiosity of, well, what else could be possible?
Exactly, because again, it's like, it's just really about not feeling that it's all up to you, that you have to do it alone. You're not meant to do this alone. And when you realize that, again, there is this beautiful sense of release. Like, oh, really? I don't have to have it all figured out. And, you know, when we started our podcast, you said like, we look at other people and we feel like they have it all figured out, right? Nobody does. I don't. I just learned how to trust and surrender because I completely planned my 2020 and nothing could have worked, you know? And so I'm like, okay, let's change my business plan. Let's change everything. This year I planned out, and again, besides, thank God, my wedding was perfect. It was in June, but nothing else like worked the way we planned. My both grandparents passed away, and my grandma, she was my angel. She was my best friend. She was my closest person. So this year was so eventful. We also had to move out of our home, and we ended up living in Tulum. No complaints, but I didn't plan for it. I didn't plan for it. So when you trust and surrender, you will see that the life will support you. One quote that I absolutely love, Melissa, is, and I don't even know if maybe Gabby says that too, Gabby Bernstein, but I heard it somewhere there from like Hay House, you know, publishing. When you support life, life supports you.
Exactly.
And like I said, I don't know who said that quote, but I keep reminding myself of that when I'm feeling like, oh, should I do this? Shouldn't I? Like, for example, when I am feeling super inspired, I want to host a retreat. And I'm like, oh, I got to host a retreat about this and this and this. And I want to host it month away. You know, and normally like you need like 3 to 6 months to host the international retreats and for people to get their flights and days off and everything. Nope. When you support life, life supports you, and the perfect people always come. The perfect people always show up. And so and I know Gabby teaches a lot about it, the surrender.
Yeah, I always say, like, if you say yes to life, life says yes to you. Like, there's so many different mantras that we can say that really support the same kind of embodiment, right? And alignment for me is really about doing your best to be in the highest vibration of yourself, right? And I sometimes call it like, you know, we're reverse engineering manifesting, because most people are manifesting from the past version of themselves rather than being guided from the future version, right? So we're always going like, oh, I have this inspiration that I, you know, want to apply for this job, but oh, I didn't get the last job, so why bother? Like, you know, like we're manifesting from that place. We're giving power to our limitations rather than getting curious of, oh, I feel this desire to apply for this job. You know, what opportunities could this open up? How could I grow? You know, like, because you talk about being in integrity and being in growth as one of your values, as some of your values, I should say. So it's like really shifting your own way of thinking and being to be in that curious state, right? And I feel like this is what a lot of, you know, spiritual teachers talk about, is get in that place of observation rather than judgment.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Because the thing is, if you're judging, you're lowering your own vibration, right? And there's this beautiful question, what would love do, right?
Yeah.
If I'm a love, and it's something, I just had my quantum hypnosis session yesterday with my friend and mentor. And when I connected with my higher self, one of her like invitations to me was look at people through light. Because sometimes I'm still like, I don't get it. Why do people do this? Why do people hurt themselves? Why do people like, you know, like, it's like this, like, why? You have one life. Why are you hurting yourself? Why are you hurting others? And things like that, right? So again, the first thought can be the judgment, but the second thought, okay, am I coming from a place of love? No. Okay, how can I see this person with love? How can I see her from compassion? And again, don't judge yourself for judging, right? First, but choose differently, because does this really feel good to you? Does gossiping or judging or looking at other people without compassion feel really good to you? Probably not. So what would feel good to you? curiosity. I'm curious why this overweight person is eating their 10 donuts. I'm curious why this person is choosing to yell at their kids. I'm wondering why this person is choosing to have a dog when she's not taking care of her 10 other dogs, right? It's just like, what is their need? What is their motivation, right? And it doesn't mean like excusing people or saying like, oh, it's okay because now I'm not judging them. It doesn't mean that you're making it okay, but you're not bringing your energy and your vibration lower. You're coming from a place like, I want to understand. And even if you cannot understand, because there are just things we will never comprehend, right? But there will be things like, okay, is this coming from a place of love? Is this coming from a place of curiosity? Or is this coming from a place that makes me feel less than?
Yeah. And that's exactly what we do when we rise with love, right? Is that we come back to that place of what would love do? What would love say? How would love be? How would love act? And it's definitely a lot more challenging right now, because I kind of see that we're in a battle of consciousness right now with everything that's kind of going on in the world. But I was having a conversation with a friend a couple of days ago, and it's like, right now, humanity is really being taught the lesson of choice. And whether or not you believe that you have choices or that you give yourself permission to choose. And this is what I feel as well you're talking about is you have the choice as to how you show up and how you let others influence you, or how you influence others. And we're all playing our part in that. And judgment is such a crippler of joy, and we do this for ourselves. We judge others, and this is really good in bringing it back to the staying curious by invoking, because we are all love. Like, ultimately, when we bring it back, we're light and love and sound vibration in this physical experience for expansion of all of that. So you also talk about having like a roadmap. So I'd love for you to kind of talk about what is our roadmap to free ourselves from potentially limiting beliefs incrementally, because I don't know if we can necessarily like, boom, I'm all gone of my limiting beliefs forever, right? It is definitely like the more you upgrade, the more things come to the surface and we can, release them. But talk to us about your roadmap.
I love that. So the roadmap really starts with know thyself, right? Like knowing yourself, because that really helps you to free yourself from the bondages of what you feel like you should, or sometimes even what you feel like you could, because you're like, oh, I could do this. I could take this job. I could do this for my family and friends, right? And putting yourself at the back burner. But the roadmap to freedom really starts with know thyself, knowing yourself, knowing why you came here, knowing who you are, understanding, setting up your core values, and really understanding what lights you up, what brings you joy. Because all these things, when you start to uncover you, more things will show up for you. So it's just like unpacking this beautiful package, and it feels like Christmas is tomorrow. Christmas is tomorrow, instead of living in anxiety and frustration. So when you start unpacking who you really are, then you start checking in with your life and your environment and asking yourself, like, is this really reflecting where I want to be going? Like sometimes people or friends, family, they want to give us advices. And I always ask my clients, like they're, for example, afraid, well, I want to change the way I am dressing, or I don't want to get married, or I don't want to have, kids, and all these things that are like a stigma in their families. And they're afraid to be judged. They're afraid to be different. And I'm like, okay, right now, if you could change and swap your places with your parents, would you do that? Are they happy? Are they fulfilled? Are they living the life that you want? Because if your parents or whoever is giving you this advice, or whoever you're trying to please or not disappoint, is living the life that you truly want, they're fulfilled, they're happy, they're free, they're abundant, well, there must be doing something right. Listen to them and check in with you. Does this feel right to me? But if you look at their lives and it doesn't feel right to you, well, then it's not right. It's their path, it's their choices, it's their soul journey, but not yours.
Yeah.
You got to make a peace with being a different. That's why you came here. You're like this beautiful, completely unique puzzle piece. In a puzzle, there is never two same pieces. And we got to appreciate that.
Absolutely. And it's like, this is why I believe you and I do what we do, is because mentors really show you who you are and what you're capable of. Whereas the people in your life, they love you, but they're still caught up in potentially their own fears. And as mentors, I'm sure you're the same. As I really don't give people who work with me the time of day to embody their limitations. I'm like, I don't have time for that, but I'll get in the ring with you and fight for your greatness and your infinite potential, right? So it's like we hold space for you to truly have permission to be you, whereas potentially the people in your life, they have their version of how they want you to be, and it's no fault of their own. It's just how life is until you awaken to this notion that you are here to have everything that you truly desire and bring it into reality. So I feel like this is such a key point, is that people hold themselves back because they don't invest in discovering who they are. They're like, oh, I don't have the time, I don't have the money, I don't have this, I don't have that. And it's like, well, how is anything ever going to change if you're only willing to see things from a limited point of view, rather than getting curious as to who you are, who you get to be, what you get to do, and how you get to do it? It's like, life is so delicious. Get curious about what flippin' flavor of ice cream is like your new favorite. Or it's like, what if you only ever eat vanilla ice cream and you don't realize that you love cookies and cream? Or it's like,
So now I'm getting hungry, girl.
I know. I'm like, me too. I'm like, ice cream. But it's like, if life was a smorgasbord, or if life was a all you can eat buffet, like, why would you go to the thing that you don't like? It's like you'd go to the most luscious, most, yummiest thing that you can get at the buffet. So I feel like, you also talk about purpose and finding your purpose, embodying your purpose. Would you kind of believe or in agreement that that evolves as well over time?
It's so fascinating. So my husband, he's a mentor and coach too. And yesterday I was listening to him recording his podcast, and he was saying on his podcast, your life purpose will change. And I'm like, do I agree with that? Right? It's like, I was really wondering about it, because I feel like we come here with one purpose, and then how we do it changes. Mm-hmm. For example, I absolutely love human design. I don't know if you're familiar with human design.
I'm a Manny Jen.
My husband is Manny Jenny too. I'm a generator. And so my purpose here is to align others with their purpose through nurturing and sensitivity. And everything I have done up until this point was doing that, but I didn't know I was doing it. I was thinking I'm just a people pleaser, and like, I just want to be loved. But the truth is, what really, really lights me up, it's nurturing others, and it's to be soft, and it's to be loving, and it's to be motherly. So for me, it's easy to connect with other people's higher selves and guide them into their alignment with their purpose, because I can see it clearly. It's my gift. So it always has been like that for almost the 4 decades that I'm here. But how I was doing it was different. I'm like, let me be a personal trainer. Let me be social media marketer. Let me be coach. You know what I mean? Like, it changed how I was doing it, like different modalities. But what I was doing, like the end result, aligning people with their purpose, was what I have been doing my whole life.
So it's potentially that it's like your purpose is always the same. We just evolve or find other ways of how to bring it into the world.
Exactly. That's my belief. You can have yours, and our listeners can like let us know. They can connect with us on social media. I'm on Instagram. Melissa, you're on Instagram too. So they can just, connect with us and message us and let us know, like, do you believe that purpose it's one, or do you believe that purpose changes as you change? There is not right and wrong, but what really resonates with you? For me, I feel we're born with one purpose, and then how we are embodying and bringing it to life, it can change, but it's why we came here.
Yeah. I truly am in the belief that our purpose is love. It's to embody love in all of its possibilities, and our purpose is, how do we bring love into this world, right? How do you add more love? I call it, how do you add your sacred medicine into this world? How do you add joy and love and abundance for others to be able to experience? I kind of believe that's the purpose. It's like, how do you do that? And that might be in the job that you do, or your job might be sponsoring your dreams, and you do that through your art, or being a florist, or being a coach, whatever it might be, right? So I love the staying curious about it, because a lot of people will be like, well, I trained to be this and this is what I am. And they'll stay that for like their whole life, not allowing themselves to see how else they could bring it. So I was originally a primary school teacher, and like that was a small portion of my life. Then I was a psychic medium, then now I'm the mentor, and it's like it's evolved. But ultimately my purpose has always been to teach, to really light you up to your own self, your own magic, your own potential. So I feel like the thing that I get with you is always getting back into that curious state. How else could I do this? How else could I truly fully embody the highest version that is bringing this into the world? So I feel like we're on par. We definitely have a lot of similarities as to how we've grown up and what's happened in our lives, and like how we show up in this world. So I want to ask you a question that I ask everybody. It's a little bit different, but it's because I work as a medium. And so it's like, if you could have a conversation with anybody that has walked the earth, whether fictional or not, whether they're still alive or past, who would that be and why?
That's a beautiful question. And it's funny, we were talking about it with my husband a couple of weeks ago. We do our weekly dates, and we were talking about similar question, and it's fascinating. So first I will share his answer. He wanted to speak with Jesus. I'm like, yeah. Dang, okay. And it's funny because in a state that I'm right here and right now, I'm still healing through my grief. I would want to see and talk to my grandma, I just love her. She was my baby girl. So I feel like I would want to talk with her, and I would want to know that she's okay. And I want to know what's on the other side. Like, are we just here? Are we just energy? Like, what exactly is she experiencing? I have glimpses and visions, and I was able to speak with her through my breath work after she passed. So I feel like I would want to sit in the same room with her and, like speak with her.
Yeah. And that's so beautiful, because also, we get to see people on the other side in their full embodiment of who they truly are, because they're no longer in those human constructs. They are pure unconditional love. Like this is what we get to be. We're on this journey of enlightenment, of expansion here on earth. But once we've learned the lessons that we need to, or enough of the lessons, right, for now, it's like we get to fully release this physical experience and return back to that true essence of being light and love. And our loved ones in spirit give us the greatest gift, and that is to learn eternal love, but also that soul remembrance that we are love. Like that's why when I work as a medium, I'm like, this is the key. Like our loved ones open up so much potential in our lives because they remind us who we truly are.
Yeah, absolutely. And like you said, like when I connected with her, all I could see was light and like pure love and freedom, you know? So I love that that's what you stand for, that our purpose here is to love, right? And I feel like that's like, of course, you know, that's like, of course, like all of us, we are love, right? So it's beautiful that you asked this question because it makes us like wonder.
Yeah. And of course, we'll have our own way of bringing love into this world. Like we have, I talk about also being a unique piece of the puzzle. That's why I'm like, oh my gosh, we're so similar, right?
Oh.
You're your own unique piece in this whole gigantic puzzle that is the world. And there will never be another you as there is right now in all of Earth's existence. And that is what makes us all so incredible and powerful. And if we're embodying our full self and in alignment with that, then that's the gig of life, right? That's just like what we're here to do. Yet we kind of get caught up in all the other things. And so how we rise with love and by sharing our stories, by sharing our own sacred medicine is how I believe we truly make this world a better place. And so, you know, you are just so phenomenal in what you do and what you embody and how you align. And I'm sure there is just so many more great things to come for you in terms of, you know, just really bringing this work, because it is so needed right now. It is so needed more than ever. You know, we are in this age where the earth is shifting in consciousness and frequency and dimension. And it's like being in alignment is a daily choice. It is a choice in every single moment, right? We can choose to be in alignment right now as we have this conversation or as you're listening, or you can choose to not. Like it's a conscious choice that we get to make. And I feel like your work is such a gift. It is such a gift to this world, because you give people permission and that soul remembrance to be who they are, to add their own unique piece to the puzzle. So if people want to connect with you, how do they find you? I know you mentioned Instagram, but I'll hook it up anyway in the show notes, but like, where's your website, all of that kind of stuff?
Yeah, I my favorite place really to hang out, it's Instagram, you know. So that's just my name, Petia Kolibova, and my website is the same, petiakolibova.com. Everything made easy. I got married this June, so I'm like, what am I going to do with my last name? So for right now, it's all stayed the same, Petia Kolibova, everywhere on all my platforms, and that's like really my favorite places to connect.
I still have my ex-husband's name, so I'm Melissa Mills. And I just say that it's like, that's my stage name.
It's like MM.
Yeah, it's easy to remember. I'm like, if I get married, I probably wouldn't change who I am, like, you know, as the public figure, Melissa Mills, because I just love the name. And so that can just be a stage name, babe.
You see, that's a great answer. I didn't think about it. So now I got a stage name. I'm sure my husband will love that when I tell him I have a stage name.
Yeah, this is my stage name. You know, in our personal life, yes, I'm married and I've got that, but, you know, or you can always hyphenate. That's what some people do. But, you know, I feel that's something that we get to also choose. Is like, do I now show up as this new elevated version of myself? Or, you know, I think that's up to you, right? But
yeah,
for now,
absolutely, the freedom that we have. Yeah,
this is where people can find you. It's just been so amazing chatting with you. I'm so excited just to have the listeners tune in and receive all this beautiful sacred medicine that you have shared with us about freedom and curiosity. I feel like it's definitely activated a deeper part of my own curiosity. I'm like, oh yeah, let's really play with the quantum of infinite possibilities. So thank you so much for your time, for your love, for being such a beautiful embodiment of what it means to rise with love.
Thank you so much, Melissa. I so appreciate you and I love your work. So keep on loving.
That's right. Well, thank you so much, everybody. Make sure that you share this episode so that we can truly get more and more people curious about life, embodying their full potential, being that piece of the puzzle, right? So thank you so much, everybody. And you know that you are here as a perfect being. You are whole, you are divinely worthy, and let's all continue to rise with love. So, mwah.